Good morning, Wildcats. Welcome back to another great day of learning here at Westlane Middle School. Happy to have you here. Happy to have a nice little kickoff yesterday to the second semester. Um, really happy to see all of you again. It was kind of nice to hear teaching, learning going on in school. Just fun yesterday. So happy to have you back. We have reset lessons today on respect. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about today is like being respectful. And I know sometimes I think we say that with what does that mean? And so we're going to try to define a couple things about what respect means here in the building. And so let's get to announcements. All right, today is Wednesday, January the 11th, 2023. And these are your morning announcements. All right, Westlane Middle School is an avid school-wide site of distinction. The mission of Westlane Middle School is to reveal the genius of each Wildcat through a culture of joy, respect, and excellence. We believe every person deserves to be seen, affirmed, and to grow. Let's get Wildcat ready, everybody. Our lanyards and our IDs are around our necks. Our binders and our agenda books are with us. Coach, backpacks, fanny packs, and purses are in our lockers. Hats, sunglasses, and hoods are off that we know we had talked about yesterday in lunches about hoods. Make sure the hoods, and there are no hats either, period. Our AirPods and phones are in our lockers. Our blankets stay at home. All right, again, taking a look at this week, it is a little bit different week. So next week actually will be a regular week, Tuesday through Friday, with the periods. But today is periods 6, 7, and 8, and then we'll start back with periods 1 and 2 for that. Also today, we're thinking about having a fire drill. We're going to see what the weather looks like. It is kind of warm out. So if we do have one, we'll come on announcements and let you know that. And I'll let the teachers know that as well already this morning. And so just to think about, just in case the weather stays nice, at least about 50, 51, 52, we'll go outside. And we are able to do these in about 6 minutes. So it's pretty nice to be in and out. All right, don't forget our today, period 6, 7, 8, 1, and 2, and then 7 is our lunch period. All right, let's talk about our January reset. Being respectful, what does that look like? And so I'm gonna pop myself back up in here. And so it's very important to listen to these and just like, these are very basic guidelines on how to be respectful here at Westlane. So when you're at Westlane, it is important to show respect to all adults and to fellow students. This does not always mean, listen, it doesn't mean we're gonna agree with everybody. It doesn't mean we gotta be friends, kumbaya, but it does mean that we're going to listen and communicate calmly or say nothing if we need a moment to calm down. Sometimes we say things when we're angry, and that just doesn't work, okay? And that's, I think, where the biggest things happen. We're angry, we don't know how to handle that. But if we can be in a calm moment or take a moment after we're angry to communicate, that is going to keep the respect usually in our communication. Also, too, listen to me very carefully. Respecting others is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it shows that each person is a human being that deserves to be treated correctly. All right, I think that's a key thing. Like if I don't say something back to somebody after they made me mad, people are gonna think I'm soft. It's not weakness. It's just a sign that shows I am mature enough to be able to handle my emotions. And then if I need to feel like I'm communicating something, I do that then, but not in the moment. And I think that's the big key. I think some people think respect is some kind of like, oh, I'm soft if I'm respectful. No, you're not. It just means you know how to treat other people and you know how you treat other people the way you want to be treated. So don't ever think that's a sign of weakness. So hallways and lockers, how can we be respectful? So if you bump into someone or like, just say, excuse me, just say, oh, pardon me, oh, sorry. The Midwestern term of OPE, but always apologize, like, oh, sorry. That I made a mistake. People make mistakes all the time. And then if someone does bump into you and says, excuse me, okay, perfect, great. Then we know that happened. But for the most part, let's try to keep it ourselves. But we know that happens sometimes. And when we're traveling 742 kids around the school building, it may happen. Speak to each other using calm tones. If you have a disagreement, work it out or find an adult to help you work it out. Not need enough argument or a fight, it just will be a disagreement. And if you did not hear something directly from another person, consider it untrue. If someone comes to you and says that, if you're person A, and someone comes to you and says, someone's saying something about you, but it's not directly from them, consider it untrue. We have enough people around here that want to start things. or sometimes we just want to like try to spread a little bit of half truth. But if you don't hear directly from someone else, consider it untrue. All right, in the classrooms, we're going to follow all adult instructions, and whether that be your teacher, your assistant teachers, your guest teachers. It does not matter. We're following all adult directions. When someone else is speaking in the class or has the room or is allowed to speak, listen to them, please. If there's an issue with another student, let the teacher know. And please treat supplies, computers, and furniture like they are the gifts they are. All right. This is our house. These are our gifts. You take care of your own things at your home. So consider these your things, but taking care of them is important. For restrooms, you know what? One of the things we're respecting there, don't stand so close to each other in the restroom. No one wants that. All right. Don't say rude comments to others. Flush and wash. That's very respectful. No one wants that's, you know what it is. And then report all messes to an adult so they can call either down the office or a custodian, and we can figure out how to get it cleaned up. Cafeteria. Listen to the lunch leader at all times. Okay, that's just important. When we ask you to, we don't ask you to be quiet very often, but we do. Voices off. Listen to us. Let's move on. Hats and hoods are off. Okay, that's just a rule in the school. And then don't touch others' food. That's just be respectful of that. Say please and thank you to all the cafeteria staff when they ask you. I actually asked a couple tables yesterday I was sitting at and went to. I said, hey, did you thank the cafeteria staff for their food? And a couple were like, no. But let's just make sure you are thanking all the cafeteria staff and make sure you stay in your seat unless you're throwing away trash or getting food. All right, let's talk about cleaning up WESTLANE. So we talked about it a little bit in the respect thing, but language and message. So make sure you clean up things or at least tell someone that there's a mess you made. So a lot of you know I taught science for years, and I always told my kids, listen, if you make a mess in a room or just tell me. That's the thing. I don't want to see it later or have it hidden or have someone else have to deal with it. Just let us know if you've accidentally done something that made a mess to help us out. Also, before you speak or before you post on social media, think, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? If it's not any of those, don't post it. Don't say it. Period. 6th grade academic team, you will meet in the cafeteria this evening for your virtual meet. 7th and 8th grade academic team, you don't have a meet tonight, but your coaches may tell you they want to practice this evening. You meet with your coaches for that one. All right, let's talk about Lit Crew. In your Canvas inbox on next Tuesday, there will be an application to join the library information team. These are students that will be trained to help lead different aspects of the library. And look for that application on Tuesday, like I said, and you'll see it. And so what does that entail? So it's going to be during your spa. It's going to be during spa days. The trainings are going to be. And so anyone who loves to read and wants to help make our library amazing. And what are you going to do? You're going to create new displays. You're going to plan library projects. You're going to review book for announcements. You're going to learn how the library works. You're going to brainstorm grade level and reading challenges and more. And so you're going to complete a Google form I'm going to send out on Tuesday on your Canvas inbox. Because right now we're not doing computers this week. So that's what we'll do. And so just think about that now. And we'll have this on announcements the next 2 days. And we'll go from there. All right. So yesterday we got up to some of the basic information of Dr. Martin Luther King. About where he was born, all of his academic accomplishments, his family accomplishments. But today we want to talk about really what he is most known for, and that was his civil rights work in the 50s and the 60s. So we talk about civil rights in the 50s. So of course, everyone's still black people still experience racism. Hispanic people experience racism. He experienced it early in life, and he decided he was going to do something about it and make the world a better and fairer place. But during the 50s, he became active in the movement for civil rights and racial equality. Now, one of the big inflection points or jumping off points in the civil rights movement, especially, was December 1st, 1955. Rosa Parks was arrested for not giving up her seat on a bus. Okay, this really started a lot of the major work, at least from Dr. King, and then also what kind of set a lot of things in motion. So he then joined the bus boycotts, and then on December 5th, 1955, He's elected president of the Montgomery Improvement Association. He's the official spokesman of the boycott. And then in 1956, just less than a year later, the Supreme Court ruled that bus segregation is illegal. Not saying that a lot of people in the South would have followed that, but at least they started to say bus segregation is illegal. Also, and then in May 17th that year, he speaks to a crowd of about 15,000 in Washington, D.C. And then the U.S. Congress passed the first Civil Rights Act. It was the first act since the 1870s, so right after the Civil War, they did that. So, and then Dr. King published a book called Stride Towards Freedom. He went on a speaking tour, and he's nearly killed when a woman in Harlem, that's in New York, stabbed him. And then he also visited Gandhi to study his philosophy, or studied India to study Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence. And then he had to resign from being a pastor because he was going to concentrate on civil rights for full time. And then in the 60s, which was just it was a very busy, hectic, you name it, decade for America. Civil rights, everything, just a very hectic, just a very busy change and things like that. So King and his father became co-pastors at Ebenezer Baptist Church. They had lunch counter sit-ins at Greensboro, North Carolina, because at that point, when he had lunch counters, black people were not allowed to sit at the lunch counter. So they used to have these stores, and Woolworths, and Walmart, all the places you would shop also had a lunch area. Now they call it a food court, kind of at the mall, but it's just different. The black people were not allowed to sit in there to get lunches, and so then they started having a sit-in. He was arrested in Atlanta for trying to be served at a restaurant. He was sentenced to 4 months in jail, but then John and Robert Kennedy got him out of jail. And then he starts to organize protests, more spreading out throughout the South. So it continues to get bigger and bigger. In November, the Interstate Commerce Commission banned segregation on buses. This was because of the work of Dr. King and the Freedom Riders. And then during the spring of 1961, they started the Freedom Rides. They did this for segregation and in stations like Greyhound. So Greyhound buses also were the same thing, were segregated on them. We're talking about the Freedom Riders a little bit. So they faced violence along the way from Washington, D.C. to Jackson, Mississippi. In May 14th of 1961, a bus was bombed by the Ku Klux Klan. They were stopped in Anniston, Alabama. And all the others saw violence from whites in the South. And it proved to them that nonviolent confrontations could attract national attention and force federal action. Then in 1963, on a Good Friday, Dr. King was arrested for demonstrating without a permit with Ralph Abernathy. And then the Birmingham campaign begins on April 13th. When he's in jail, he writes his famous letter from a Birmingham jail. On May 10th, the Birmingham Agreement announced the stores, restaurants, and schools will be desegregated. On June 23rd, he led 125,000 people on a freedom walk in Detroit, and the March on Washington is held on August 28th, and the largest civil rights demonstration in history. Almost 250,000 people in attendance. So if you look, it went from 25,000 to 10 times that, just by continually pushing and pushing the message, pushing what needed to be done, what was right and what was fair. And so that was what Dr. King was able to do. We'll talk about tomorrow a little bit of the major things that were happening after 1963, and we'll get to his assassination, and then through his assassination, and then we'll get to on Friday. We'll talk a little bit about when the holiday came in place, and we'll also listen to excerpts of his "I Have a Dream" speech. Don't forget, we're on time every time, the Wildcat time. That's getting on time to class. This week also, technology. There are no computers this week. We're screen free, so we're not passing out computers. We're not doing anything with them. They're going to stay in the carts like they were in winter break. Then we got our pass protocol. Each student gets an average of 1 pass per week, and there are no passes in the first 20 minutes or last 20 minutes of class. All food should be eaten in the cafeteria. No food should be eaten outside the cafeteria. Breakfast students, you must report directly to the cafeteria off the bus to get breakfast. And all cell phones are in your locker between 9:15 and 4:15. They'll be taken if they're seen or heard. Even though you get it at 4:15 to go to your advisory, you don't really need to be on until you get to the bus. And don't forget our WESTLANE motto: every Wildcat every day gets better. Thank you for listening and have a great Wednesday, everyone.